GM, we joined this poodle already in progress. I apologize. I joined and it was waiting for two, and I wanted to see if I could get any of you all in its snap filled. I wanted to make sure we could maximize the amount of drafts we do today, and I want to also make sure that I can max the poodle. So I apologize that we're joining this draft in progress. This was not an attempt to avoid any of you. In fact, I really enjoy our drafting with everybody, but I frantically started the stream 3 minutes early because I like to do a check of the kind of stuff I can do. And unfortunately, this one has already fired and we're already on the clock. So we're right into the flames here. And we're going to just take a Saquon Barkley share, take a breath, and then Dirty P. Tyreek feels like the most contingent bet within the first 7th round. Teach your QB to slide. Dirty P, you do not have to, you are preaching to the choir. That first concussion he had, it almost looked like he purposefully threw his head back when he landed. I have about a 2-year-old, and he's like teaches himself to fall. And when he goes down, he like naturally tucks his head up so his head does not hit the ground. And I tell him, I'm like, you need to talk to my quarterback because that is what he needs to do. And somehow, I guess when he was a 2-year-old, he did not learn that your head hitting the ground is bad. So yes, we are in lockstep there, Dirty P, about Tua's inability to protect his head as he falls. Steve, how dare you? I know. I started early. Again, it was in an attempt to get you all in, but we're just fired. I didn't tweet it out. I didn't send up the bat signal. So, we'll see how many people we can get on this early Friday. Yeah, Steve, a fun draft last night. We were in a pit bull together, and we were towards the end of the draft. My earbuds died. And so I did not actually get to hear the end of your stream. And I know you did another draft after that. Again, Steve over on the Fanspeak Network doing awesome stuff, fun to draft with, one of the sharpest guys in the industry and one of the nicest guys in the industry. So make sure to check them out over on Fanspeak Network. GM Hartman, another streamer out there. Thank you so much for coming in, one of the good ones. And heck, as is Best Ball on Call. So we've got an awesome crew in here this morning. Again, nice Rug. I'm a fan. Yeah, no, I started the stream early to try to get people in and it snap filled. I guess this puppy, people realizing it's probably not going to last. Sorry, the poodle, not going to last the weekend. So we are off and running. Yeah, the poodles are filling fast, Steve. I thought if I started the stream, it would be enough time to get a couple people the chance to get in, but we did not. With that said, the board is up. CMC is up to 6. Beyond that, nothing too crazy other than Genty is still there. So someone's going to get one of those kind of GM starts with an elite receiver plus Genty, assuming Genty doesn't go really far there. He goes to the Amon-Ra drafter. We've seen Genty sliding a little bit. Maybe it's the Pete Carroll stuff talking about him not being the bell cow, but that's easy to say in training camp. But when Genty's running for 6 yards a carry and Sincere McCormick is out there. We'll see what the real division of labor ends up being there. GM ATX Bearcat, thank you for coming in this morning, and likewise Ant Xball maxed out. I see Rug pulling already. Yeah, I mean we started the stream early. I'm coming up with new and innovative ways to rug my viewers. So I'm glad it's being well received. So we took Saquon with our first pick. Let's see what the room gives us. Again, I'm just ideologically opposed to taking Rice. He continues to rise. I have my being just a stick in the mud saying that this price is too high. And if Rice is the guy who beats me this year, he beats me. Maybe I'll come around and start taking him. Maybe this is a better contest to take him than BBM because this is time box. So everybody getting Rice is getting him here. I just think this price is a little bit ludicrous. I think it's a little bit ludicrous to be perfectly frank with all of you. Not a huge T. Higgins guy, but I don't want to have a big fade position on him, and I will just add him to the team. It enables me to try to do a Burrow push. We can see if we can pull that off in this room. Beyond that, I really like the second pick you get in this range. MHJ, Wilson, Tyreek. I think those are all smashes. Chase Brown, another player I'm excited to have on the team. So, in honor of the thumbnail, I'll queue up Tyreek Hill, see if we can't get that week 16 game with the Bengals Finns. If not, we'll queue up Garrett Wilson. And if not, we'll queue up MHJ, who is the week 17 game for Cincinnati. So unfortunately, we do not get to live up to the thumbnail and take Tyreek, but that's okay. And, now that the cards are on the table, I have an awful lot of Garrett Wilson. I think maybe I need to switch to MHJ. So give me one moment. My child's school is calling, so give me a second. This is you. All right. We are all good. We are all good. I apologize. Back to bed, everyone. No, we're good. Everything's good. Everything's good with the kid. It's a outdoor day, and I need to send him with something, but I can do that after the stream. Tyler, GM, I could go for back to bed. Yes, likewise, Tyler. It was an early morning here at the Casa de Candles, but let's get the Ducks going, because I realize I have these headphones on and there's nothing on them. So hold on one sec. All right, here we go. Steve said, Barkley MHJ start is fun, especially if you get Burrow late. Yes, we are going to attempt the Great Burrow push. All right, we're up. This is getting a little frantic here. I apologize. Xavier Worthy here. I think he just makes sense. I like Omari and Hampton, but we're going to give Worthy a shot here. It opens up another potential elite quarterback. Not too worried about the week 10 bye situation. All right, let's see. I realize I missed this. A few chats here. Steve says, yeah, I'm definitely underweight Rice, but taking him some. Yeah, I probably need to just take a little bit of him, even if I think the price is a bad price. I also realize my headphones aren't even plugged in. So this has really been quite the start here that you guys are part of. All right. All right, there we go. All right, so I would have taken Chuba Hubbard. That would have been nice. Maybe we add Jalen Waddle here if we can't get Tyreek. Then maybe that would make sense as the sort of substitute for that Week 16 game that I'm into, and maybe a little leverage off of the Tyreek people here. Chris says, "Wake up, GM Chris. Thank you so much for coming by. Was the Rice price bad last year? Why would it be so much worse? Slightly cheaper. His ceiling is clear." Well, Tyler, I guess for me, I don't think the situation is exactly the same. I think Worthy showed himself competent as a receiver. I think Worthy's going to take some of the manufactured stuff. I also think Hollywood Brown is more than just a sacrificial X. I think he's going to be involved, and I know he looks good, and I think we're getting good injury news, but I don't know. I still want to see it a little more, and it just, I don't know. I'm a little skeeved out by paying this much for Rice. I think we're just willing to, just export last game's sample to this year, and I'm not quite sold on that. That happening. Hartman, Rice's price is crazy. He thinks he's a good value. So Hartman in on Rice. Best ball on call. Rice at 22. I am struggling to pay that. Grander 47. GM Burrow or Kyler. It's funny you say that, because it almost like my instinct is to say Kyler, but he goes like 20 picks later, maybe even like 30 picks later. But if week 17 flips over, who feels like they have the higher ceiling? It almost seems Kyler, especially with them talking about him running more. Chad being flustered in the AM. What's new? And X-Ball, yeah. It's what when you get a call about the kid and it's you see the school pop up, it's not good. It's never like them calling to tell you that they're just like impressing you with his with his intelligence. It's always like, he hurt himself, he's sick, you forgot something. So that is how it goes. Kelsey is, as Tyler says, Kelsey is falling off. Rice, the clear engine of the offense, skate to where the puck is going. Target hog over his rookie plus 2 games. Indicates an Amon-esque fade because of JMO. All right, I will have to think about that, Tyler. I just, I don't know. He's just a guy that I had trouble getting to, like, when he was 10 picks earlier, and now he's 10 picks later, and now he's 10 picks earlier. So it's just been a little bit of a difficult for me to get there on him. I'm going to take a running back with this pick. The question is who? I'm not very excited about Montgomery. Find myself taking a lot of Caleb, and I think I'm going to continue that here. He just feels like the plutonic ideal of a Pittsburgh running back, so we'll add him to the crew. Let's see. Hold on. My boys were already in the principal's office. Well, he's not even 2 yet, so I hope he's not in the principal's office yet. Rice more involved in the red zone than a guy like Olave, but much stronger target owner. Fine paying that price. That is fair, Tyler. If there's one thing I've learned this season from last, is that I need to be more open to adjusting prior. So I will take that on board. I think maybe in the later contests I'll get more in on him. Maybe try to get up to like 4% in BBM and just admit defeat there. But it's I don't know. I feel like Big Best Ball is pushing an agenda, and as a small independent operation, I'm standing my ground here against the Rashee Rice, and I'm probably going to get run over by the Rashee Rice tank. But we'll see. Maybe I will start taking him a little, especially if I can get a little ADP value on him in other drafts. Did you tell the school what you were in the middle of? Yeah, I'm like, oh no. My son, I'm here streaming, guys. Call back later. Dirty P says the Rice price isn't bad. Maybe taking the wide receiver spot in that bad, but Rice is on par with the other 2-3. That's also fair. That is part of it, right? Like I really like Jonathan Taylor. I really like Bucky Irving, Jacobs to a lesser extent, and those guys are very strong picks with I think a little less question marks there. The health thing, I think we're all just like assuming is completely okay, and I don't know. I do have a little bit of concern that we're just assuming perfect health from Rashee Rice. Hulk Smashed Potatoes GM again, one of the great names on YouTube. Thank you so much for coming by this morning. I think partly because you were out last year, maybe just strong priors. Tyler, 100% right. I was out on him last year, and I was wrong. I was wrong last year, and I got bailed out by the injury. I just, I don't know. Is he higher than he was? He's higher than he was last year, right? Wasn't he? I can't remember where he went last season now. I'm blanking on that, but yeah, you might be right. You might be right. I might, and it's funny because the year before I was pretty in on him as a rookie, but all right. The question was asked: Kyler Murray or Burrow? I think we're just going to answer that here with Kyler Murray. It makes a ton of sense on this team, and we'll take one more, and then we'll recap the crew. Yeah, Tyler and Dirty P in agreement there. Steve, Dirty P, that's why I'm okay with Rice there. Only receivers that can make a strong case over him are Higgins and Adams. See, Steve, I put Garrett Wilson and Tyreek Hill ahead of him. I think that's my problem. I feel like those guys are players we were taking in the first round whose roles, if in situations, if anything, have improved. I know I'm in the minority thinking that in Garrett Wilson. I know you're not very in on Garrett Wilson, but I think that's the way that I have those guys ranked, and so that's leading me towards that conclusion. With all that said, let's get Cooper Kupp on this team. Speaking of really great picks, Cooper Kupp, who the Rams let walk for for greener pastures in Seattle. Don't mind him there. I guess I could have taken Travis Kelce to round out the roster, but I like Cooper Kupp. This lets me have a little more flexibility at receiver late with 5 receivers I feel like I am pretty good at. So recapping the team, we are at a 1-3-5-0 with Kyler Murray at QB, Saquon Barkley, Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, so a couple rookies there in the running back room, T. Higgins, MHJ, Worthy, Waddle, and Kupp holding it down. So don't mind the team so far. Have Tua and Darnold as potential late QB options on the team, but no real other QBs obviously availing themselves here. Oh, trust me, my daughter's daycare she has it down, so it's very accessible outdoor day for her as well. Well, I hope she is having fun. It's raining here, so I actually thought they were canceling it, and then they're like, nope, still happening, but. I can bring it. It just means I can't do a super long stream. I'm glad Rice and Adams are going so often because I would end with too much. Yeah, Adams is a player I'm definitely in on. Got lucky in the big board. I was taking a lot of him before he got traded, so that or before he moved over to LA. So happy with how that rolled out, and keep getting him. An exposure shawl. Yeah. Not the 1% beach towel, not the 4% blanket, maybe like a 2% shawl, just something, just like a little accessory that looks nice that you throw on before you walk out the door. Speaking of shawls and exposures, I have a lot of Cam Scatterbo, probably way too much, but if he falls to me, I'm simply not going to pass him. After that, I'm pretty in on Sharps this season. He would make sense with Kupp. Make a little bet on Seattle there. The vibes on Ken Walker can be a little dicey every now and then. And then probably take a tight end in this range because it's kind of fertile ground with this Warren and Njoku, Kraft, Lovelandy kind of range. Although if Sharps comes all the way back to me, this might just be a 3 late tight end team because it is tough for me to pass there on old Zach Charbonnet. That also would make me feel a little more comfortable about ending this team with 5 running backs, and I think give me some flexibility in other spots. So we're just going to take Sharps here, and like the team so far. Obviously need to catch up at tight end, but hopefully hit that that second pocket that comes up around 142, 147 with guys like Kincaid, Goddard, Ferguson that tend to be available over there. Steve says, sounds reasonable to me, although we're going to get a ton of Adams if we draft that way. Yeah, I'm really trying this year not to just make the comfiest clicks, and then I say that after I take like more Scatterbo and Charbonnet, but I do think that the way this team was coming together, those picks were not unreasonable. Yeah, that's why Steve says that's why at the turn I opt for more running backs and Higgins, but I haven't got enough Adams lately since he's moving up. I need to adjust. Yeah, Adams has been a big riser, and it just hasn't really seemed to stop. I mean, we were not afraid to take Kupp and Puka pretty high, so it seems like we're kind of just plugging Adams into that role. Maybe Mahomes will blow out his knee again. Not salty. Yeah, that crushed a lot of people. That injury. That was and it just as a fan of good football, I didn't want to see that. I mean, I'm not so tied to this that I want to see real life injuries. I do like to see good football, and that stunk because it was Rice was having one of those like really fun seasons, and I think it kind of made Kansas City a lot less fun when he was out. He started as a 4th last season, but quickly fell because of the legal issues. That's right. And if anything, it's funny because I'm not worried about the legal issues. I don't think that gets resolved this season. So I think people have massively overreacted to that. If you're weighing that into your calculus, I think you're making a mistake because I don't think that's going to get resolved before the season starts, or even during the season rather. All right. So in the ideal world, we will get one of Kincaid or Likely here, preferably Kincaid, although I can live with Likely if I have to. I don't think any of these other receivers I truly need. Maybe if I had Mahomes, I could make an argument for Hollywood. but alas, I do not. There goes Hollywood. Not sure if PC Lead is auto drafting or not, or if he just had Hollywood as his highest ranked guy. Let's see what Ol Alay does. He takes Tillman, so we're going to get Kincaid here. I think he's perfectly reasonable as a tight end 1. I know there's a lot of Kincaid haters out there, but again, if we're going to push 3 late tight end, then he's not the worst tight end to start on the team. Did Tua go? Did I miss that? No, Tua did not go. In the ideal world, again, this guy will not take Tua. If he does, then I'm going to have to figure something out, see if I don't think I'd want to take like a Penix. I think that would be getting too cute. So we'll add Tua to this team. We've got a 2-5-5-1 with Kyler and Tua at quarterback, Saquon, Caleb, Quinshon Judkins, Cam Scatterbo, Zach Charbonnet at running back, wide receiver room of T. Higgins, MHJ, Xavier Worthy, Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp, and then Dalton Kincaid holding it down at tight end. All right. Not too bad. Rice started as mid-second before Worthy, and suspension risk. The physical worry is fair, but the news has been surprisingly good, and volume can hide efficiency bump down. Again, another fair point, Tyler. And obviously the market is in agreement with you all on that, because he just continues to steam higher. Yeah, was it that high? I did not remember it being that high, but I am not one to to question Tyler on these things, because he is seldom wrong. He's a more fact-based show than this one. When you watch Tyler, you're going to get fewer vibes and more facts, and that's just how it goes. Garrett Wilson has a Fields problem. See, that I disagree with. I think Fields can support one elite receiver. He was able to do that with DJ Moore. If you want to nitpick some of the advanced numbers from that, you can do that on your own time. But I think he's more than capable of putting up numbers for at least one of the receivers there. It sounds like he's going to have a pretty long leash. If you want to do the whole shower narrative, Ohio State, teammate thing, that also puts some, arrows in your quiver for, why did I say arrows in your quiver? What a stupid expression. That gives you some ammunition for saying that Fields and Wilson could be pretty good together this year. I am buying that hand over fist. And if, and I tend to be like a lol Jets kind of person. I assume everything goes wrong for the Jets, but I'm, oddly optimistic about Wilson. I mean, he's produced with some god-awful quarterback situations. Zach Wilson at QB, he was terrible. Then he gets Aaron Rodgers, who didn't like him and would just throw it to Adams and Lazard and co over him. And he still had over 1,000-yard season last year. So I have trouble getting. I have trouble genuinely being concerned about Garrett Wilson this season. I think with my next pick, probably add one of these tight ends in this range, and then maybe a Sam Darnold with my next pick. So let's queue up Firemuth. He adds this sort of emergency backup out if I want to add a third QB in Aaron Rodgers. He at least gives something there. Of course, if Jonnu goes to Pittsburgh, then this pick is going to look pretty darn bad, but I really just don't foresee that. I really just don't foresee that actually happening this year. So let's see if we can get Darnold. If not, again, we could take Rodgers. Bryce Young. This is a nice fall on Young, but I think I'd rather just go with Darnold and my Cooper Kupp stack. I think that's going to be a little more makes a little more sense. Obviously, I do have Caleb here. I don't think Caleb's going to have a ton of pass catching chops, but if you're going to make a bet on the offense, having the RB1 and the QB1 is not the worst thing you can do. But we'll keep with the plan. We'll take Sam Darnold there. We've got 3-5-5-2. This will probably end up just being a 3-5-7-3 team. So we'll look to add a couple of receivers and one more tight end before this one gets out of here. Zero chance I click Tyreek over Rice. So Chris is, I don't know if you're just a mega bull on Rice or a mega bear on Tyreek, but again, if you go over on DK, they definitely agree with you. You get Tyreek over on the right side of the board on DraftKings, which is crazy. Pre-draft, he was a second rounder, fell to the 80s later. Yeah, that was a generational buy when he was in the 80s. Yeah, I'm down at Wilson. I can't see him matching, much less exceeding TDs from last year. Even if he has 27 to 30% target share, total targets will still be below 140. Yeah, I guess that is the worry, right? Like if they really just don't throw the ball that much, I think he's just going to get hyper targeted in like a Malik Neighborsy kind of way, where you have not amazing QB play, but you have one hyper elite receiver who can really separate from everybody else and just get there on sheer volume, even if the like passing numbers on the team are a little bit low. Chris Nagus, not ever, all summer, everywhere. Yeah, GM James, thank you for coming by this morning. As Steve said, as Tyler said, those are 140 Fields targets, not the same as 140 Burrow targets. Steve, are you saying that all targets are not created equal? Because that might be a good point. They might be slightly more on the money with Joe Burrow than with Justin Fields. Jordan, thank you for coming by. Jordan Thackeray asks, do you like stacking Burrow with Chase Brown? So I feel like if you're gonna take Burrow unstacked, then Chase Brown kind of gives you the fig leaf to do that. So I it's not the worst thing to me. I don't like go out of my way to do it, but if I'm gonna take a falling Burrow, I'd prefer to do it when I have Chase Brown than just to like randomly take Burrow naked. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, I do that. It's not something I like necessarily like do every time or go out of my way to do it. But if you see, I'm gonna take our guy Mason Taylor here. He was getting some good coach speak. Speaking of Jets receivers, because can never have too many. But he was getting some good coach speak about his blocking ability, and that's really what can limit rookie tight ends is if they're not good in the blocking game. And if he's doing that, then I think that's really going to help him have a chance to actually like make a difference as a young player, which sometimes can be what holds them back. I'm just going to get my guy. No, he's all right. We're going to take Marquez Valdez-Scantling here. I don't think any of these other receivers are really head and shoulders above anyone else, and I want to double stack my Sam Darnold bet with another guy I am somewhat into. So we'll add him to the crew. But yes, I think I was talking about something, but I can't remember. Anyway, yes, if I'm going to be the naked Burrow drafter, then I don't mind doing it with Chase Brown. I'm not concerned for Garrett either, says Dirty P. He earned his high NFL draft capital with Fields. I'm more concerned about a first-time head coach with 3 running backs he's threatening to use. Again, fair point. Probably going to be very run-heavy when you have 3 running backs plus Fields. But, there is simply not a second receiver who is the second receiver the Jets draft in this. Like, nobody is taking. You have Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds, Alan Lazard, Arian Smith, Malachi Corley. Like, in a 25 round draft, those guys aren't getting drafted. Like, there simply is no target competition there, except maybe rookie tight end Mason Taylor. Like, I think like 30% target share could end up being conservative, as crazy as it sounds. Like, I think he is going to be the only game in town, and if Fields is somewhat competent, which he's shown flashes of being, and I think he's going to get a long leash. I don't know. I'm bullish, and maybe that's wrong, right? Like I'm willing to admit that I could be getting this bet wrong, and I'm going to end up with like 25-ish, 23 to 25-ish Garrett Wilson, and not enough to completely sink me. But if I'm 3x to Field, then hopefully I'll have a good season, some good advance rates. But I get the bear case. I completely understand the bear case. I have been burned by Justin Fields before, and I'm dumb enough to go back to it. Let's see. Chris says he would be comfortable taking Rice at the 1-2 turn if that's what it costs. My God, Chris, you are the reason. We're all looking for the guy who did this, and we're seeing Rice at pick 21, and Chris Nagus just pushing him ahead of London, but not BTJ. I cannot get there. I simply cannot get there. I love Drake London. I am a big Drake London slappy. But we'll see. I think if there were no Worthy, maybe. But Worthy looked good, and I'm not just saying that because of the Super Bowl. He really made improvements as the season went on, and we'll just see how they get deployed. They get deployed next season. With all of that said, we're going to add one more receiver to this room. I think it's going to be Darius Slayton. I think that makes more sense than another running back. Although I see the argument for taking like a Keaton Mitchell there, but we'll end the team with Darius Slayton. So this ends up being a 3-5-7-3. Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa, Sam Darnold at QB, Saquon Barkley, Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, Cam Scatterbo, Zach Charbonnet at running back, a wide receiver room of T. Higgins, MHJ, Xavier Worthy, Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp, MVS, and Darius Slayton, and tight ends of Kincaid, Freiermuth, and Mason Taylor. I actually like this team. I think it tells a story. We've got all of our quarterbacks stacked. We've got our couple of our elite receivers stacked. T. Higgins naked, but tried for the Burrow push, didn't get there. Don't mind this team at all. And we're going to fire up another puppy. Before that, let me catch up with the chat. I can only pray that Rice flips Drake London this season, says James Young. I will end up with more Drake London than I already have. Chris says, I was headed there last season before stupidity struck. I was equally dumb at this age, nor judgment. Yeah, we're just lucky, right? The dumb things we do, we did as kids, we're all still here and we're all doing okay. And just, unfortunately, that went bad, and hopefully, I'm glad everyone's okay from that incident, and hopefully there's no like serious legal ramifications for a young guy who seems like he's been pretty contrite since then. I'm gonna hop in this 20-second puppy in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I hope I didn't snap fill it. I hope there's no overflow. All right, waiting for 4. So if you want to hop in this poodle, let me know. Steve loves the MVS click. Yes, Steve, you MVS pilled me. So if that goes bad, I can point the blame at you, Steve. No, I see the vision there. I think it makes sense. James Young, dirty. How much Henry Ruggs yoga? I know it's tough times, man. Well, of course, his dad and uncle are Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas. Of course, he can block. That's fair. Love me some. Both of those guys, just Dolphin legends. I've got a Zach Thomas jersey. Maybe I'll put on when the season begins. We can bust out the jerseys, but maybe not quite yet in June. Rice was a wide receiver 5 before injury last year. Yes, he was shoving it down my throat, Dirty P. It was a bad fade. It was a bad fade. Steve says, counterpoint, there wasn't a lot of target competition for Pickens last year in the first 6 weeks, and he was wide receiver 46 in points and 56 in points per game. That is fair. They did seem unwilling to kind of let Fields cook. And Pickens, I don't know, Pickens could be a bit mercurial. He seems like a guy who thinks the situation is not good, like makes the situation not good. So I don't know. I think Wilson has a little more dog to him, and the fact that they were college teammates, I think he knows what he's getting himself into. And just made one of those classic wide receiver tweets with the like W's the only letter that doesn't use itself. I don't know. It was out there. It was a total wide receiver coded tweet. But let's see who we got in the room. So we got Steve at the 101. He takes Jamar Chase. We've got Hartman here at the 3, takes CD Lamb. I'm in at the 7. And Al Boogie here at the 12. So this is not going to be the easiest room I've ever been in. I'm going to take Puka here. Had taken a little bit of CMC ahead of Puka, but I don't want to be like way behind market on Puka. That doesn't seem like a great feeling. If anyone else is in here, please identify yourself. That would be fantastic. All right, James Young and 3-game sample. Remember, we were taking 3-game samples from Will Fuller or Dave Davis or Corey Davis. Well, none of those were high draft picks on the Patrick Mahomes led offense. So that's I see the vision. I see the vision for Rice. I don't know if that's quite a fair comparison. Steve is back in the 101, of course. I mean, a real influencer steps into the room and gets the 101, and I get pushed all the way to the 7. That's fine. I know my place. Al Boogie, why are there so many people in my room? Al Boogie, thank you for stopping by. I apologize. You stumbled into this draft, or if you were just dying to scoop my EV. Either way, I'm glad you're in here. Best Ball. Earth back on its axis. Steve, yes. Steve there at the 101 holding down this draft. He's going to keep us all in line from over there on the left side of the board. Al Boogie keeping it on the right, and I am squeezed in the middle, just hoping to just get some kind of value that I know will not come because it's going to be soaked up at the ends of the draft. That is okay. Let's see what happened here. Brock Bowers at 14. He's been a faller, but does not fall in this room. Let's see what Staff does. Very interesting name, just Staff. Like, is he just like work there, or is he talking about like a staff, like a staff that like Moses would have? I don't know. Great name though. Anyway, getting Staff. We'll take Derrick Henry here. Probably would have taken London over Henry if both were there, but we'll add some Derrick Henry to the crew and see what happens. See what happens there. Can't be too mad when you get Derrick Henry, right? If it's week 17 and he's healthy and your team's in the final, you're probably pretty happy you have Derrick Henry. I think if we're fading him, we're overthinking that. Wilson is better than Pickens for sure, says Steve, but Fields averaged pretty close to his career average in attempts, just kind of my overall point. No one has ever felt good about Fields cooking. No, Steve. And certainly the Bears sometimes felt like they were absolutely terrified to turn Fields loose. It seemed like they would really try to minimize the mistakes he could make. But again, players are capable of getting better, and some of that can be coaching, some of that can be environment, just comfort. And so I'm willing to give Fields the benefit of the doubt here. And he has shown, again, he can string together 3-4 games of quality, and doesn't have to be amazing. If I use Fields, I want to mostly have those on 3 QB teams because he is capable of dudding out completely. But I think he's going to have a long leash there, and again, he's going to have a really good running game around him that I think is going to help his efficiency with the passing. Hartman, Al Boogie, favorite guy to draft with. Yeah, anytime you can be in one of these like giga sharp rooms, it can be a little tough. It can be a little tough. Let's see what your Muda does. I would love Chase Brown, but I doubt he'll fall to me. He does not. I don't take a lot of Terry McLaurin, but maybe we'll take a Terry McLaurin share. I've been pretty out on him, but I don't want to take JSN ahead of him every single time. So we'll take a McLaurin share. I'm probably going to be closer to 4% on him. But it does enable me if Daniels falls, then I can make this a Daniels team. If not, it's fine. He's not like terrible on his own, but I do tend to like to stack McLaurin more than have him unstacked. A little touchdown dependent, but an offense that we're all pretty excited about there. So 3 running backs go in a row. James Cook kind of early there at 33. Interesting pick. He's sometimes there at 40, I think. Let's see, Billick. Yeah, 42. So a little bit surprising, James Cook going ahead, but this is a range, and I've talked about this, is not my favorite range to pick from. This sort of right before the 3-4 turn. Feels like you're either reaching up for one of these receivers or you just have to take an elite quarterback. But let's see. So there goes Allen and Lamar back to back. We'll see if we get Daniels again. If not, there's a few nice receivers as consolation prizes in the area. Dirty P, Garrett is a better route runner than Pickens. Pickens needs to prove to me he's more than a circus catch frisbee dog. Dirty P, I thought he was more of a just a kind of go rowdy kind of guy, but he last season was looking more a little more polished as a route runner, at least to me. I think he I think that's a little unfair of him, a little unfair to say about him. I think he was I think he was starting to prove himself a little bit, is I guess what I'm trying to say. Steve Schaup says, "Oh, Boogie, how's it going?" Al Boogie is going to punish Buttnut. Yeah, I was trying not to give Buttnut 69 too much credit for his username there, but my God, I know Underdog's in the consumer acquisition game, so anything goes as far as usernames. Is what we're seeing here. Muda going very high T, Gibbs, A-Chain, and Chase Brown with George Kittle. Let's see what our friends are doing. So Al Boogie, he's got Amon-Ra, BTJ, JSN, and Josh Allen. So very strong receiving room with an elite quarterback. Hartman, he goes pure piss boy. Lamb, McConkey, the aforementioned Garrett Wilson, and Ted McMillan. Steve-O taking Jamar Chase, Bucky Irving, Devontae Adams, Omarion Hampton, and he's going to take another. No, there's not a running back there. DJ Moore. Okay, that makes sense. Nice fall on DJ Moore. He gets there. I know Steve's philosophy is win the flex, and win the flex usually means having a running back in the flex. So the Hampton pick really comes as no surprise, as does Bucky here at 24, getting one of those elite running backs. So makes sense there. Al Boogie saying hello to Steve Hartman. Leave my QBs alone. Well, you did get Hurts at 51, so that's a pretty big win there. That's a pretty big win for Hartman. Steve is getting no sleep because Steve is in the content mines, grinding away late into the night. Al Boogie asked if it's been drafting all night or if it's Meg's sister over on the Fanspeak Network. Also, oh my God, I'm up. I thought, dear God. All right, we're just gonna take our guy Calvin Ridley. I'm pretty big on Ridley this season. He fell to me at just normal ADP, and I'll just add him to the crew there. All right, let's see. Steve says, the thing is, I'm very high on Fields. Is my number 2 QB. I just don't love paying the freight for Wilson, who I think will struggle to get above wide receiver 15. So, Steve, I would postulate to you, are you just taking him naked? Are you making Taylor any kind of priority? Or, I assume if it's not those two, I don't know if maybe you're then adding like Braylon Allen. You think that connection could work? I would like to know, if you don't mind, how you're handling the rest of the offense there in Gotham. Steve says, I was up with the Fantasy Football Garage this stream drafting and doing some work. Not sure how Hartman is awake. Yes, people here impress me with their stamina. It is a hard working community. You guys are doing so good in this room. Thanks, Al Boogie. I am glad you think so. I like everything you guys are doing so far. Dirty P says, maybe I'm stuck on a faulty prior with Pickens, even so I'm excited to see Garrett. Yeah, trust me, Dirty P, I thought the same thing about Pickens. I had the same kind of thought, but I think I think the other problem is he's just like a giga diva, so he just plays into like every sort of negative receiver stereotype of just like quitting and moping, and he was getting benched in Pittsburgh, but I think he is actually like I think he's actually pretty talented. I don't take a lot of Travion Henderson, but I think he kind of fits this team. Let me look at where I'm picking next real quick. 79. It could be a little hit or miss as far as the next running back that we're able to get. So I'll add Travion. Not my favorite click. I think in my heart of hearts, I do think Judkins and Caleb are pretty much on the same level. Henderson is going to be splitting more carries than we want with Ramondre. And so we'll see where that goes. But I think Henderson is super talented, a player we're excited about, and someone I don't want zero of. So we'll take Travion Henderson, even though I think the price is a little bit steep for somebody who's in a role that I think we're all just sending Ramondre to zero, which is what I had been doing. But as more and more word has come out, I think Ramondre is it's going to be closer to 50-50 than we want, which is unfortunate. But maybe by the end of the season, Travion really can take over. So there goes Caleb at 69. A little bit of a rise on Caleb. I think he normally goes in the 70s. Let me see, where T. Edwards. So yeah, Caleb. Well, anyway, Caleb normally goes at 75. So a little bit early on there. Let's check in on our friends here. So Al Boogie, after adding Allen, he gets Mixon and Addison. Makes sense. Addison continues to fall a little bit because of the probable suspension risk. Hartman, after getting Hurts, he adds David Montgomery. Steve-O somehow pulls the Burrow push. I'm disappointed that we simply could not stop Steve from getting there. The integrity of the Poodle has been compromised. I blame Ted Edwards for not taking Joe Burrow. You know what? We are all doomed now that Steve has this super team. He adds Matthew Golden, a high upside rookie. Oh my God. Everything is coming up Steve today. But it's good to see. If it's going to happen to anyone, would love for that to happen to Steve. Steve says, I take him Fields, meaning Fields with Brees and Taylor, but yeah, plenty of naked. I don't have a single Jets player outside those three skill guys, Braylon Allen as well. Yeah, and that's the thing. And again, that's one of the reasons I'm like fairly bullish on Wilson, is just the absolute dearth of competition. Debo would have been an amazing fall for me there. Instead, I'm going to take Tony Pollard. We'll make a nice a little bet on the Titans here. And again, I think I can find another receiver in that next range, probably a little easier than running back, which can have a tendency to dry up. So far the team, we've got Jaden Daniels at QB, Derrick Henry, Travion Henderson, Tony Pollard at running back, Puka Nacua, Terry McLaurin, and Calvin Ridley at receiver, and no tight end thus far. All right, Buttnut on the clock, as the old saying goes. Let's see what he leaves Al Boogie with. Winding it to 0, getting all the free press he can, and takes Isaiah Pacheco. So he loads up on running back. Still only has 2 receivers through 7 rounds. Al Boogie here, let's see what he does with his, let's see if we can predict him. He's going to take Downs and Hawkinson. No, he takes Mason there. He takes Mason, so he gets up to 3 running backs. And that's me. He gets his second running back. Okay, that makes sense. He says, week 6 be damned. We don't care about bye weeks here. When you're Al Boogie, you make your own rules. Coming up to us, there's going to be at least one receiver that I am excited about here, which is good. We'll see who we get after Billick and staff pick. All right, so there goes B-Rob. I would love Darnell Mooney. He would be my my primary pick. After that, then maybe I would take an Igbuka share here. I don't know why. All right, let's see. Yeah, Mooney pretty heavily for me over those other guys. Yeah, definitely happy to get Mooney here a little bit past ADP on this team. Opens up another potential quarterback that I'm somewhat excited about in Penix, and continues building out this roster. So don't mind this team at all so far. Let's see. So Al Boogie, after he added Hawkinson and Mason. Oh, so he had Addison. So he's making a big bet on the Vikings there. And Hartman and Steve are about to come up on the clock. Buttnut is drafting a banger. Let's see. Neighbors Bowers. So he gets the Neighbors Bowers week 17 situation. Mike Evans, Lamar Jackson, Ken Walker, Harvey, Pacheco, Downs. Yeah, I hate to admit it, Al Boogie. It could be Buttnut coming out of this pot. We'll see. We can't allow this to happen. Buttnut and Steve, because Steve got his Joe Burrow here. Let's see what Steve does at the 1. I'm going to guess he takes Igbuka and Kelsey. But I don't know. Steve might... No, he takes Trey Harris. Interesting. And Scatabo. Well, Scatabo is not surprising because Steve is... I don't know who's the bigger Scatabo Slappy, whether it's me or Steve, but it's got to be close. it's got to be close. And yes, Steve Scatabo simply would never have made it back to you if you had not taken him there. So I get that. Is this really just all quarterbacks here in this range? Nobody's taking quarterback. I don't have need for Baker or Kyler or Nix. Fields, obviously, you can always take naked, but I don't know if that's truly necessary. I might take Travis Kelce if he falls to me. Otherwise, yeah, kind of a weird spot on the board. I'll just take what's given to me, which is Kelce. I think it's getting a little too clever to do much else, with Ward, with Stafford, with Penix as possible options. I don't see the need to take another quarterback, especially with Daniels here. If for some crazy reason Fields is there at pick 114, I'm not going to pass on that. Or even if it's a Nix or possibly even Baker, just because the ADP value is so massive. But yeah, we'll see what the room gives to us after that. I suspect a whole bunch of quarterbacks might go here. All right, Steve was debating Fields, certainly understandable. I guess if you took Fields and Burrow, you'd probably just stop at 2 QB. I think I've done a couple teams like that, but I don't get a ton of Burrow just because I try to push him every time. So it's really, the only times I get him are when that's successful, and it's generally unsuccessful. Thought about the Egbuka Baker stack, but just question the upside. Egbuka is so hard to judge. I mean, I'd like to think like it's like a super version of the McMillan bet last year that did pay off. Used a ton of draft capital, used very high draft capital on him. So I liked Egbuka a lot in the big board. I feel like it was a weird landing spot, not one that I saw projected anywhere in mocks. So I think all of us are, like you said, having some trouble like seeing what we're really going to get out of that. I am ideologically opposed to taking Tyrone Tracy because that's an admission that I could be wrong on Cam Scatabo, and I simply will not live in that world. I'll take another Charbonnet share. I could take Ramondre if I wanted to get really cute and handcuff New England, but I don't think I want to do that. I'm going to take another swing with Sharbs. We saw huge contingent upside from him last season, and we'll make that bet here again on Seattle. None of these receivers really seem that great. Mark Andrews was tempting because that would enable me with Kelce and Andrews to potentially stop at 2 tight ends. But again, I think building out a little more depth to this running back room. Again, Travion might be a little bit of a slow starter. Pollard could be closer to 50-50. And so we'll add Sharbs to the team. Let's see what our friends did. Al Boogie, he took Najee and Burden at the turn. I like all of those guys. If Burden is back, during camp and getting some good buzz, then I could see him rising up again. But we've punished him a little for missing some of the rookie stuff. Hartman here, he gets Dak. Did we have Dak stacked? Yes, you took Lamb at 3, so that makes sense. So you've got Dak and Hurts. A very powerful team there with also with some Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman makes a lot of sense. Get some of the Bills offense, and Steve is on the clock. Let's see what Steve does. Steve takes Jonnu. Nice fall in Jonnu based on where he was, and Herbert. So he does get Trey Harris and Herbert. So the Harris pick made sense. It set up that stack there, and you have Omari and Hampton. So Steve wisely building out some team bets, including a team where I'm pretty excited about in the Chargers. So nice picks there. And it looks like Hartman added as his tight end one, Tyler Warren. All right. So we are coming up here. Let's see what the room is giving to us. Would love another receiver here. Maybe it's Mims, although I'm just not super in on Mims. I'm almost tempted here to just do the Ramondre thing. He's fallen to me now, and you know what? We're going to live a little. By live a little, we're going to take both of these New England running backs. This could be bad, folks. This could be bad. I think there's a lot of differing opinions on the handcuff thing. I think it's possible that they do actually end up with different roles. I think New England is likely to want to run the ball quite a bit. So we'll take that. We'll make a bet on New England's offense and see what happens. Again, don't do a ton of this, but at pick 127, I like that there. Dobbins would have been another potential pick. He's been a big riser, and I think rightfully so. But Marvin Mims has been falling a lot. He could even be there with my next pick. Certainly feel the need soon to take another wide receiver. But man, it gets thin. It gets thin there. So we'll see if we do get Mims. But if not, we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. All right, let's see. Lucky this isn't an eliminator draft with buys in 6 and 8. Yeah, you are not worried about your bye week situation, and I frankly I respect that. Let's see. Marvin Mims still here again. He has just been plummeting. Just absolutely plummeting. So Kincaid goes. I guess I will take Mims here. I'm a little surprised he didn't get taken. I'm not super happy to take him, but I'll just go with this. I'll just take the ADP value on old Marvin Mims here. A hyper efficient player, not an 100% snap share guy, but again, he's been falling a lot. He's definitely out of favor with the best ball community. All right, let's pull the board back up and see what we can see. All right, just making sure. All right, nope. All right, we are good. All right, Hartman, he is coming up. And he takes Dallas Goedert, so he gets another tight end there. After Warren, makes sense catching up at tight end a little bit. Let's see what Steve does. Steve, after taking Herbert and Jonnu, he adds Ray Davis and Isaiah Likely. So just taking what the room gives him there. A couple of good players that make sense for his team. And the board wraps back to us. Hartman back on the clock. Hartman takes Rachaad White, another guy that I was out on, but Steve kind of talked me a little bit back in on with potential contingent upside there. Let's see what Yermuda does. Yermuda needs a QB badly, but we'll see if he takes one, and if so, who? Yermuda says, I don't need a QB. You are wrong. I'm just going to take Michael Penix to stack with our friend Mooney there. So now we are up to 2 QBs. We've got Daniels, Penix at QB, Derrick Henry, Travion Henderson, Tony Pollard, Zach Charbonnet, and Ramondre Stevenson at running back, Puka Nacua, Terry McLaurin, Calvin Ridley, Darnell Mooney, and Marvin Mims at receiver, with Travis Kelce holding down the tight end spot. So, don't mind this team. Feel like it's coming together reasonably well. Again, the Ramondre Travion picks a little weird, but I don't think too crazy. I don't think too crazy. Chris, what's this all about? What is this all about? I hope I don't think you're in this room, so I did not. I don't think I sniped you. Yermuda is your mother. I get it now, Chris. I'm like, that was kind of out of nowhere, Chris. What are we doing? But I see what happened there. I see what happened. All right. So now a question for me is, do I take Cam Ward or do I take Matt Stafford? And I think it's Cam Ward, even though I have Puka. I think with Pollard and Ridley, I like the bet on the Titans a little bit more, so that makes sense. Oh, Chris, your Muda is your mother. I'm pick 5. Oh, I didn't know you were in here. Oh, okay. Chris, I see you. Lego my nego. I see you in there. Okay, so I did not know you were in here. I apologize. I would have shouted you out before. So you started with Saquon and then started pissing with Rice, Harrison, Worthy, and Travis Hunter, who has been falling, but you scooped him at 53. Pretty nice. Judkins, Reed, and then Mahomes and Kyler. Like those guys, looks like you got Kyler and Mahomes stacked. Pretty nice there. Tyrone Tracy and Joku, nice fall on Tracy and Joku. Benson makes sense with Kyler, Ferg, and Jalen McMillan. So yeah, nice team you've got there in the 5-hole, Chris. I like what you've put together there. All right, Steve, after taking Hartman got Bryce Young, so he rounds out his QB room with Hurts, Dak, and Young. So he takes another quarterback, even though he went elite QB. That's like me. I also did the same thing, despite having Daniels. Still made the decision to take a third QB. Steve gets Stafford. Steve had Devontae, so I probably should have taken Stafford just to deny Steve the stack. I'm just kidding. I would not have done that just to muck with your team, but I'm glad that Stafford went to a good home. I think any pick other than Zach Ertz doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense with Jaden Daniels and me needing a tight end, so we will just make that selection and move on. Make that pick and move on. All right. So Hartman, let's see. He got Demario Douglas. Chris got Wandale, so he continues to build out his wide receiver room. And Buttnut, windmills in Miles Sanders and Al Boogie back on the clock. Let's see what old Al Boogie does. Does he take Dyami Brown to add to Trevor Lawrence? He takes Mike Gesicki and Alec Pierce, so he says no, it is too early to take Dynamic Brown for the stack. We are coming up again here. I think I'm going to end, but I think I can pass on this range. There goes Dyami Brown, who's a guy I have a far too much of. Interesting here. I don't take much Cade Otton, and I take even less of him without Baker, but I'll take Cade Otton here and then end this team probably with 2 receivers, but possibly with a receiver and a tight end. I did not feel like any of those running backs or receivers in that range were of any great consequence. And I don't want no Otton. I mean, Otton has shown the ability to be a tight end 1 in the right circumstances. He's going to be out on the field a ton. And Kelsey and Ertz are both pretty old and dusty, so I will, round out the tight end room with old Cade Otton there. Chris takes Michael Wilson. That makes sense with his Kyler selection. Hartman takes Jarquez Hunter, swinging for the upside with the Rams rookie running back, denies him to Steve-O. I don't know if Steve is a Jarquez Hunter guy, but probably would have made sense with the Stafford Adams selection. Let's see what Steve does here late in the draft. Steve takes Darius Slayton. Another pick I like late in the if we're trying to get guys who aren't zeros, I think Slayton certainly fits the bill. He takes Tutu Atwell, another guy who fits with his stack, but also probably makes a lot of sense as a receiver who's going to see work late in the draft. If we're avoiding zeros, he makes sense, but he also could potentially have a little bit of upside. All right, let's see. We are coming up. Again, haven't quite decided if this is another running back or receiver. I think this might be a 3-6-6-3 kind of team, especially because we did the handcuffing thing. So I almost view this as I know I have 5 running backs, but it's almost like having 4. I don't know if that's a great way to view it. I like Giddens and Shipley. I'll just take Will Shipley as one of the, at least the backs I perceive as having pretty high contingent upside. They let Gainwell walk, which I think is, which says a lot about what they think about Will Shipley chasing. So let's queue up some of these receivers here. Could queue up Ray McLeod. Don't get a ton of Ray McLeod here, but he, somehow had 686 yards last year. Don't remember that happening, but he did. So we'll put Ray McLeod in, see if we can't get him with Penix, and then queue up some of these other guys, maybe a Yoshi Voss. Dante Thornton's getting a little expensive for what he is, but as an 18th round click, if he's there, can take him. I like Elijah Moore. And then, I'd scroll way down for Turpin maybe, and, trying to vary these last round picks a little bit. If anyone has a favorite last round receiver, I am all ears, but right now that's what we've got. Keenan Allen also would make sense. Probably going to sign somewhere, and when he does, he's unlikely to remain in the 18th round. So he certainly is a possibility. Maybe if McLeod goes, then Keenan Allen would be the pick. But I'm a little agnostic to who I get in this late range, as long as I'm not getting too much of any one player. All right. Alboogie got BTJ, needed to bring back, and Pierce too cheap. But that's right. The Week 17 game. I love that game, and Pierce. I think Pierce is a nice pick at this point in the draft. So makes sense there. Dontavian Wicks goes. And we'll just take Ray McLeod. So this ends up being a 3-6-6-3 team. Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, and Cam Ward. Running back room of Derrick Henry, Travion Henderson, Tony Pollard, Zach Charbonnet, Ramondre Stevenson, and Will Shipley. Wide receiver room of Puka Nacua, Terry McLaurin, Calvin Ridley, Darnell Mooney, Marvin Mims, and Ray McLeod. And tight ends of Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, and Cade Otton. So kind of a weird team. I definitely prefer 3-5-7-3 to 3-6-6-3. But again, I think with the handcuffing business that we got ourselves into with Charbonnet, maybe leaning more towards contingent upside than standalone role, wanted to add one more back to the team. And hopefully between Henry and then these next guys, we can find 2 or 3 players each week. And Steve will be taking Mr. Irrelevant. So let's see if we can look at everybody's teams. Steve, I don't know who you took last, and I'm going to have to exit to find out. So I'll go over your team last. If you want to tell me who you took with your last pick, I'd appreciate it, or I have to exit and come back. So Hartman goes 3-6-7-2. He gets Hurts, Dak, and Bryce Young. David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Jalen Warren, Rashad White, Darqueze Hunter, and Marshawn Lloyd. So more of a late zero RB kind of strategy, although we've shown that David Montgomery can definitely get there over in Detroit. DeAndre Swift, he could, if they don't bring anybody in or nothing changes, then that's going to look good. And then some other interesting backs. Jalen Warren, we know that Rodgers likes to throw to his running backs, and certainly Warren projects as if he keeps that pass catching role, that could really spike a lot. And then White, Hunter, and Lloyd, some interesting contingent upside-y kind of plays. Strong wide receiver room of Lamb, McConkey, Garrett Wilson, Ted McMillan, Keon Coleman, Demario Douglas, and Jalen Coker, with Warren and Goddard at tight end. Warren in the suit just makes him seem like a very mature selection for a rookie. I like the team you constructed there, Hartman. All right, Steve, he says good draft, fun stream, but will just not tell me who he took with his last pick. That's okay. That is okay. Let's see what Chris Negus did. He has 2-6-8-2 with Mahomes and Murray, so strong QB room stopping at 2. Saquon, Judkins, Tyrone Tracy, Trey Benson, Brashard Smith, and Taj Brooks at running back. A wide receiver room of Rashee Rice, MHJ, Xavier Worthy, so he gets the KC double. Travis Hunter, Jaden Reed, Jalen McMillan, Wandale, and Michael Wilson with Njoku and Fergie at tight end. Yes, I like Njoku. I think if you go Njoku Fergie, you can certainly stop at 2. Very deep but strong wide receiver room, and Saquon holding it down at running back. Yeah, really good team. I think this is a really good team, Chris, that you put together there. Let's go see what Alboogie did. Alboogie, he has a 2-6-8-2 as well, with one elite quarterback in Josh Allen mixed with Trevor Lawrence. He gets Joe Mixon, Jordan Mason, Najee Harris, Tank Bigsby, DJ Giddens, Jordan James. I like your late round darts that you threw there. I like Mason and Harris. I think to me, they kind of project very similarly as far as their roles on their teams, a sort of standalone plus contingent value bets. I like what you've done there. Amon-Ra, BTJ, JSN, Jordan Addison, Luther Burden, Hollywood Brown, Adam Thielen, Alec Pierce at receiver, and then Hawkinson and Gesicki at tight end. So Alboogie, I like the team you put together. Hartman, thank you. Fun drafting with all of you. I don't think anyone I know is going live at 10. I don't think so. So you know what? Let's run another one. Let's do another poodle. If anyone wants to hop in, we're going to do one more 20-second poodle, and then we'll probably call it there. But we will run a 20-second poodle. We are waiting for 3. So if you want to hop in, go ahead. Go ahead. And all right. Yeah, I'll boogie phone draft. Yeah, I liked it. I think we all I like the teams that we all constructed. Hopefully at least, well, I can't say at least. Hopefully 2 of us get out. At least implies the possibility of a third team escaping, which is impossible. Which is impossible. I don't know. Maybe if there's an exact tie, I don't know what they do in that circumstance, but I think they have some form of tiebreaker. I don't know what it is, but all right, let's see. So CLN 2013, he gets in this one. Dirty P gets in this one. All right, so still friends and family, but some different folks who were in the last one. That's awesome. Please, if you're in here and I did not just shout you out, let me know, and we'll see what we can see. All right. Yeah, we are now back in the 10 hole, so going from the middle of the board to the right side, see if we can't build something fun and exciting. Again, I think this poodle is going to fill this weekend, so just want to make sure that we get this one maxed sooner than later, because these things tend to snowball when they're close to filling. People pile into slows. People just start ripping fast, and they can end quickly. Crossface, I'm sorry you did not get in. I apologize. This one was pretty close to filling when we hopped. So, all right, and we are off. I'll pull up the board. I think that's people's preferred way to view. I might, you know what? I'm thinking of switching. Let's see. All right. This might garble the audio. We're going to switch to night driving for a bit. We've had the ducks rolling for about an hour. We'll give the ducks a rest and get this one. StreamYard does not have a ton of music choices. So if you hear streamers all playing the same stuff, it's because these are the royalty-free songs that we can play without getting a copyright strike. All right. I actually had 2 copyright strikes on 2 streams that were like a spam copyright. Someone wrote a message in Punjabi, I believe, and it just said, "Hello, how are you doing?" And it issued that as a copyright strike. So I had to deal with YouTube and get those removed because I did not have any copyrighted material. So I somehow, some random copyright spam attacked the channel. So folks, we're officially under attack here at Wake Up Best Ball. But you know what? We persist. I'm going to take Malik Neighbors. By the way, it's been an hour and 13 minutes. I have not asked you to like and subscribe. I don't know how many likes I have. Probably not many because I haven't asked you all to do it. And so that is on me. But if you could, please like and subscribe, and that would do wonders for the channel. I think I'm at 109 subs. Would love to end this and see us at 110, and would love to see some likes on there. So please, I did not hold the room hostage for another draft for likes. I suppose that's a technique I should employ. But I appreciate you all so much, your support. It's so much fun doing these drafts and streams with you. And yeah, liking and subbing can help me stay in the content minds here. So Chris Martin, he takes BTJ. I would have loved a Neighbors BTJ start. That would have been fun. Instead, we get Neighbors London. We'll never, ever, ever complain about Neighbors London. Could I do Neighbors Bowers and force the Week 17 stuff? Sure, but I just think I prefer London quite a bit there between the two. Dirty P giving us lots of information. Dirty P, good luck. I hope everything works out with that. Dirty P taking CMC first. CLN taking Saquon Barkley. Let's see what Dirty P does. Presumably drafting on his phone from the throne, taking Jonathan Taylor. So he goes CMC JT. Dirty P, by the way, I had told myself I was going to do BTJ Jonathan Taylor just for you before the stream. And then I completely forgot, and this was totally the draft I could do that. So next week, I am going to do a BTJ JT draft just for you. But I saw Malik Neighbors there, and I got excited, and I couldn't pass up. And I blame Leo for taking Derrick Henry, because probably would have taken BTJ after, and that would have reminded me. But alas, Neighbors there at 10. I was too good to pass up. Chris says, now I have to do some work. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming by. Al Boogie says, when you're getting attacked, Punjabi bots attacks, you've made it on YouTube. I know. I couldn't believe it. It was like reason for strike, and I had to put it in Google Translate. I was like, oh God. I guess that's what some people spend their day doing is copyright striking, fledgling best ball streams. I don't know why you would. I don't know why you would do that. But again, it takes all kinds, folks. It takes all kinds. So there goes Devontae Adams at 30. Nice fall for Wanu Matt. Breece Hall goes to Dirty P. So Dirty P going very, very high T, despite having P in the name, refuses to start pissing until at least the 4th round. CLN 2013 also pretty robust here with Saquon Higgins and Josh Jacobs there. Leo takes Tyreek. Yeah, I did not think Tyreek was going to get to 34, but I would have absolutely windmilled in that selection there. I am very low on Kyren Williams, but I guess I'm going to take him here. This is the issue I have with 10, is these two picks I don't love. It feels like if you don't take elite quarterback, then you're stretching, or you're getting a guy you're not super excited about. So yeah, these guys make the choice to take some elite quarterbacks. DJ Moore at the top of ADP. I could make another Jaden Daniels team. Instead, I think I'm going to just take my favorite receiver in this range, which is Jameson Williams. So we'll take JMO. I've been making a big JMO bet this season, and as a third receiver, I think that's super strong. Again, don't get to a ton of Kyren, but probably don't want to have none. I mean, every year McVay says they're going to lessen his workload, and then they just can't seem to do it when the rubber meets the road. Dirty P asking WTF. I assume that's not anything Dirty P. Dirty P taking James Cook. So he is taking all of the running backs there. Not sure what Dirty P is doing. Dirty P on autopilot. Oh no. I don't know if you're actually on autopilot, Dirty P. If so, you're gonna need a flight attendant to come in and wake the pilot up. Because you're taking a lot of running backs, my friend, and I don't know if this is a strategy here or if things have gotten away from you. But whatever is going on, man, I wish you the best. You four running backs in a row, it could work. It could be the new meta. CLN 2013, he gets Devonta Smith. I'm sure he is hoping that Jalen Hurts falls to him at 51. We'll see if he does. I think I've seen CLN pull this off before. If not, with T. Higgins, he certainly is a candidate for the Burrow push. If roster doesn't take him, let's see what happens there. So Joe Burrow does go to the one hole. And then Jalen Hurts goes unstacked next. So I certainly think it's fine to take Hurts unstacked, but I just don't like to see it when it's one of our friends who potentially could have gotten the stack if that's what they want. George Kittle, though, is a nice consolation prize. We still have not heard from Dirty P. We still do not know if Dirty P is okay. Let us see. Let's see what the boards, let's see by ADP. So if Pickens goes and then Hubbard doesn't go, all right, so hopefully this guy takes Hubbard, because if Dirty P really is on autopilot and takes Hubbard, then it's time to send in the Marines and see if we can't save Dirty P here, who has 4 running backs. Dirty P, he winds the clock. He's restarting his phone. He is calling Underdog support, says, I am on auto. Please, somebody help me. And he takes Romo Dunze. Okay, I either you have ranks in or you're back. But either way, I'm glad to see that you've pulled out of the tailspin that was the that series of selections. Kamara goes. I have Ridley and Waddle here. I like both these guys. I'll take a share of Waddle. I did a Ridley team last year. I am likely to take a running back with my next selection. We'll see who we get there. Yeah, we will definitely take a back with our next pick. Dirty P says this is for Hartman. All right, glad the room is 2 of 11 advanced. CLN just trash talking poor Dirty P in his cavalcade of running backs. Punjabi's kidnapped Dirty P. I hope not. They were friendly. I mean, they said like, hello, how are you doing? So it wasn't like they sent some taunting message, but they, I went to my videos and it had a big message like copyright. I'm like, I literally use, nothing could be less copyrighted than a best ball stream like this. But there we were wondering why that had happened. All right, let's see. So I really would have liked Mixon or Harvey, but J-Rob being a big hog takes both of them. You know what? We're going to live a little. We're going to take Juwan Jennings. Forget James Conner. We'll figure something else out. We're going to be the opposite of Dirty P. Dirty P and I form a beautiful yin-yang here. If you look, he has, 4 running backs and 1 receiver. I have, 5 receivers and 1 running back. They fit together like a perfect yin and yang of people who won't advance. So love to see that. There, Dirty P absolutely cooking. Yes, we're cooking something up. It may not be good, but we are in there cooking it up. If you take another running back, it would be pretty good for the bit. But no, you take Jordan Addison because, whenever you're behind at receiver, you want to take the guy who's not starting for the first 3 weeks of the year. But no, I liked Addison a lot. He's been a nice faller. It just your team to me is a little tough for all Addison. I probably would have leaned Olave if you're going to make that undervalued upside bet, just because he should be on the field. But again, I certainly think it's bold to go for running backs first, and I will not question what you do, because I certainly, as you see, sometimes do not know myself. All right, let's see what CLN takes Jacoby Myers there, adding to his wide receiver room. And we come back around the turn. Sniped on Rizzy P. Yes. Yeah, I would have liked Pearsall for your team. I mean, I like these Niner receivers, especially early in the early season production. If Ayuk is out, I think we could see, even more, target volume on some of these guys. And Pearsall, I think, is going to continue to rise as Ayuk falls. Board comes back around. Let's see what CLN 2013 does. He takes Steph Diggs, so he builds out his receiver room. He's got four receivers, 2 backs, and 1 tight end. So he's filling out his roster nicely, unlike Dirty P and I, who have already drafted players that will not be able to hit our roster right away. That's okay. I like my wide receiver room. This will probably be just a 6 wide receiver team with how much draft capital I've invested in that crew. Sam Laporta goes. I like Sam Laporta quite a bit, but I think I am pretty much locked into taking a running back unless somehow all 3 of these go, in which case I've got real problems. Dirty P adds Josh Downs to his team. That pick makes sense. He seems like he could be a big beneficiary of a Daniel Jones-led offense. Coming back to us, I'd probably take DeAndre Swift over Tony Pollard, even though I have my serious concerns about Swift. We'll make the Swift bet. We'll take him there. Again, now in this case, it's the reverse of catching up at receiver, trying to catch up at running back. If DeAndre Swift really is the sort of unquestioned lead in Chicago, we're going to love that pick. And if he's not, this team is probably already in a lot of trouble with how far behind we are at running back. I don't have any Kansas City receivers. That's unfortunate because Mahomes seems likely to fall to me. So maybe if I had taken Worthy over JMO, would be feeling good about that. But let's see what the room gives to us. So there goes Tony Pollard. I have little to no interest in B-Rob. I could reach for one of these backs, but I think I'm likely to try to take a couple running backs with my next couple picks. So I'm going to take Hawkinson here, take a tight end. Maybe this gives us flexibility to end with 2 tight ends rather than 3, because again, we're going to be trying to make up running back with volume there. So again, it also opens up JJ McCarthy as a potential quarterback option. And we'll pull back up the draft board. All right, Dirty P, he is on the clock. Let's see what old Dirty P does. He winds the clock. He takes Egbuka. So after 4 running backs, he takes 4 receivers. So he is trying to catch up there. Makes a lot of sense, at least kind of sticking to the plan, or maybe adapting to what Otto did to us. See, Alen says, anytime you can take a naked Mahomes, you must do so. I suppose you're referring to Leo there. Yeah, I don't mind naked Mahomes if he's a big faller, but just like randomly taking him there doesn't seem the greatest. Although, I certainly don't think it makes sense that Mahomes goes 40 picks after Burrow. They seem like very similar bets to me, and I think Kansas City might regress more towards the mean with some of their passing, and there'd be more passing there. Their defense could get worse. So I like Mahomes a lot this year, but yeah, I do prefer to have him stacked with somebody. Although he's not like without back stacking options. If you want to take Travis Kelce goes after him, Hollywood Brown goes after. And if you really want to get super mega mind and you think Rashard Smith is the new Jerick McKinnon, then you can even make that like a giga late back stack. I think those things are not like crazy without merit, but they're not things I want to like do all of the time. They're just story. Best ball stories we tell ourselves, and that's one of the stories I think has a happy ending. Whether it'll happen in real life, we will see. Tyreek Hill for the legacy stat. Yeah, if Tyreek Hill gets traded back to Kansas City, then that would look like a smash there. All right, with 0, 2, 5, 1, our quarterback options: Jackson Dart, Penix, Goff, Purdy, and Tua there. I don't think any of those I absolutely need to take. I suppose if I wanted Purdy, then now might be the time. But I think I'm going to lean more towards a running back unless they, again, really, really dry up. But I think that would be a mistake. I think that would be a mistake for me on this team to not take a back. And I know I take too much Cam Scatterbo, but I just take him over Tracy every time. That's the bet I'm making. And if I'm going to die on a hill, it is going to be on Scatterbo Hill. So we will take Cam Scatterbo on the team, build out a bet on the Giants offense there, which sounds pretty gross, but maybe they will surprise this season. All right, board is coming back around to us. Goff could potentially be the pick, but again, I think I might want to take another running back. I think if I tell myself I want a Giants, led thing, then maybe I can get a very late Jackson Dart. So I'm going to take Najee Harris here, with again the idea that I think I need to make up running back firepower a little bit on this team. Charbonnet would have been a fine selection as well, but I think Najee has pretty hefty touchdown upside in an offense that we're excited about. That's going to be pretty run heavy. So we'll add Najee to the team. We'll see if we can figure out quarterback later. Again, Penix and Tua go pretty late. and as does Jackson Dart. If I want to make Jackson Dart my bet on the Giants. So let's pull the board back up. Dirty P, he goes with Caleb, so he stacks Caleb with Rome Odunze. Makes sense there, and he added Rashid Shaheed earlier. Missed that selection, but again, I like Shaheed. Shaheed is another nice player when you're trying to make up production, because he can have pretty big spike weeks, as we saw. CLN 2013, he took a naked Fields, as we discussed earlier with Steve. That makes a lot of sense. And Christian Kirk. So we'll see if he is planning to take Stroud on the wraparound to go with Higgins there. Looks like maybe he got sniped on Drake May. I don't know if he was hoping to get a Drake May Diggs team going. I don't think you don't have any of the backs. But let's see if that's what your sort of backup plan there was. Although Stroud goes, where does Stroud go these days? Stroud goes at 135. So he's, in my head he was going in the 120s. I don't know if I just had that wrong or if he's fallen, but that does seem late for Stroud, at least to me. I know famously Emo Cowboy doesn't think Stroud is the best fantasy quarterback, but it is an offense that, again, I think we're all excited to take parts of. Plays in a dome and has a great playoff schedule, and I don't really know what else you can ask for in a quarterback. So JJ McCarthy goes to the Jefferson drafter. That makes a lot of sense there. And let's see what CLN does. Let's see what he does. So he does take Stroud. Certainly makes a lot of sense. It looks like he was telegraphing that with his round 8 and round 11 picks. Like that there, and he has Saquon and Jacob, so he can afford to wait on push running back a bit, right? Like, he made a big bet in those two and is living up to that. He's not trying to get too many early backs. If he's drafting like that, drafting like he's right, and laying off that position to catch up at other positions, I think is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Wanamut, he, however, takes Goff. Unfortunately, I would have loved if Goff fell to me. Takes one of my QB options off the board. Coming up, we still don't have a quarterback. Njoku goes. I'm going to take Tucker Kraft here for two reasons. One, this Hawkinson and Kraft, I can stop at 2 tight ends and feel good. And it also opens Jordan Love as a potential QB option for me. If Love goes, then I might just have to bite the bullet and take Penix here. Maybe Penix is a better pick anyway, but I think let's take Kraft, because there is a small chance Penix comes around to us, but there's no way Love does. And I don't want to end up too far behind. So this will be a classic Love-Kraft team, although we already have Hawkinson. So again, you could make an argument that Penix was a better fit for the crew, but I do like Jordan Love. I do want some more Jordan Love teams. And again, if we can get lucky with a Penix fall, that would be perfect. But now I feel like I can end at, again, like I said, I can end at 2 tight ends and feel good about the roster. All right. Dirty P, he continues. So Dirty P, you are famously a big Cedric Tillman bull. This is a pretty thin range of receivers, so I certainly understand the idea of pulling Tillman up into the 12th round. Not a great difference between 12th and 13th round picks, and if he's your guy, then he makes sense to just reach up and grab him. Let's see what CLN 2013 does. So he takes Trey Benson, a nice contingent value running back there. Arizona didn't really add anything to that room. James Conner's another year older, so I like the Benson selection. And we continue to build some decent teams here in this room. I like what's going on. Everyone has a plan. CLN's plan was 2 early running backs and then some contingent value guys. Dirty P's guy was just hammer running back early and then try to build out scoop some value with the other position players. So again, everyone's got a plan they're sticking to, and you like to see that. Bindles, GM, thank you so much for coming by on this Friday morning. Appreciate the support. Bindles, I was telling Whohames yesterday, the stream you all did on weekly winners on Whohames' channel was fantastic. I really liked it. It's very refreshing to see some weird builds, right? Like you can take, what did you guys take, like 12 running backs in one team? I thought that was awesome. I really liked just seeing the different strategy and hearing you all talk about that. That was a great episode. And of course, Bindles, on your own channel, you have you put out some great content, and definitely appreciate you swinging by to support some fledgling streamers and smaller channels here. So again, thank you, Bindles, as always, for coming by. CLN 2013, he takes Garendo, so continues the contingent upside swings there. Eckler goes. Dirty P and Leo now coming up. Let's see what our friend Dirty P does here. Dirty P winding the clock, takes Bryce Young. Dirty P, thank you for not taking Tua or Penix. Let's see if Wood Strand Land is as kind and leaves me Tua. If he does not, then we've got to figure something out quickly for this team. It could just be unstacked Stafford. Mercifully, it is not. We get our guy Tua. Thank the Lord, because that would have been a pretty big bummer to lose Penix and Tua back to back. I did think I was going to get Penix, but you know what? We can't be too mad when when that happens that way. Let's see what we've got here. We're at 2-4-5-2. Probably take a running back in this range. Roshan would be getting cute, trying to handcuff the Chicago backfields, but it would feel pretty stupid if it ended up being Kyle Manungai. So we might just pass on that option there. Probably actually take Romeo Doubs with this pick. I think with Jordan Love, let's get another Green Bay pass catcher into the building here, and maybe instead of Bigsby, we end up with Wright. Between Bigsby, Wright, and Allen there, I think we're going to get at least one of these guys we want. You know what? I thought I was picking I thought I was picking again in 4 picks. What did I do? Oh, I took Tua. Oh my God. I don't know why in my head I had another pick before the turn, so I was going to get to pick, and I didn't. So I will not get Wright, or I will probably not get Wright or Allen, and that's okay. That's okay. I do not know what I was thinking there. I got so excited after getting Tua, I completely forgot I had made a selection. I just thought I got a free pick. I thought I got a free pick, and I did not. The room said absolutely not. So Dirty P, he does a just add water stack of Bryce Young and Adam Thielen late. I don't think you're the Ted McMillan guy. No, your first pick was Rome Odunze. So he builds a instant late stack with Bryce Young. I like that. That makes sense. Definitely something you can do later. We'll see if he tacks on Jatavion Sanders, or if he's happy with that being a skinny stack. CLN 2013 continues to build out his running back room now with 3 late, I say contingent upside for Benson and Garendo. Roshan Johnson, we don't know what it'll be. It could be contingent. It could be a lot more. So like what's going on there. And the aforementioned Jalen Wright goes around ADP and doesn't magically make it back to us. Bindle says, appreciate you, Jad. Well, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you again, Bindles. So much appreciate you having you here, hanging out with us this Friday morning. All right. Question for me. Jackson Dart goes very late. I don't think I need to try to push that. If somehow I only ended up with Love and Tua, I think that would not be the end of the world. If something like if Stafford makes it all the way back to us, I think there is something to be said for just adding on a Stafford and maybe a like a Tutu Atwell kind of very late stack. We'll see. I'd rather not do that, but I do think that the odds of Stafford hitting my lineup versus Dart are significantly higher. But we'll see. we'll see. I do not want to force 3 QBs if it doesn't make sense, but I do value Stafford fairly highly. I mean, that is such a fun, explosive offense, and we do have Kyron. So Stafford does go, so we don't get the choice. I probably would have taken Stafford there. I'll queue up Dowdle, even though I fully expect this guy to take him. For some reason, I could add Wan'Dale Robinson and then just take Robinson and Dart and call it there. I think that might make sense. So Zach Ertz goes. I think Dowdle here, I just got to jam in. Again, another contingent upside with standalone value sort of pick. I think that makes a lot of sense on this team. We're gonna stick with just the 2 tight ends on this crew. I'll queue up Wan'Dale. That makes it a little less likely someone tries to just do some kind of like Dart Wan'Dale double click. I don't see why people would do that, but you never know. You never know. People tell themselves stories. People want different exposures. All right, so there goes Wan'Dale. So we're not able to pull that off. That's okay. All right. I guess we will just take Alec Pierce here. We're just going to take best available. Although Demario Douglas has been rising. No, we're going to audible. We're going to take Miles Sanders. We're going to take Miles Sanders because, again, we're trying to catch up at running back. And if Miles Sanders really is the one in Dallas, then he is going to look absolutely ridiculous in round 16. So we'll add Sanders to the team, and then hope we can get Dart plus one more receiver late. So I think that's how we're going to play this. Dirty P, let's see what he does. He just added Juwan Johnson and Elijah Arroyo, so he takes a swing at a couple of the late tight ends to pair with Colston Loveland. So a very young tight end room for Dirty P. I guess Juwan Johnson's not that young, but Arroyo and Loveland, both rookies. So some veteran production plus Arroyo. Looks like between Shaheed and Juwan Johnson, and only having 2 quarterbacks, I'm suspecting to see a Tyler Show pick out of Dirty P. Let's see if that's the direction he goes. CLN 2013, he added Geno Smith to his team. I believe he was the Jacoby Myers drafter. Yep, there he is. So he gets his 3rd quarterback and then takes Darius Slayton. I did not think Slayton was going to make it to 202, but him and Dart would have made a lot of sense as far as, a late big bet on the Giants. All right. So again, like the teams that our friends have built, my team a little wonky. I gotta say, a little wonky with Love and Tua, and again, Love just stacked with our 2nd tight end, but really big wide receiver firepower, at least in my opinion, with Neighbors, London, JMO, Waddle, Jennings, and Dubs. Feel really good about this wide receiver room. Running back room, not as much. Kyron, not a guy I'm high on. Swift, big questions on. Scatabo, I love Scatabo, but he could be nothing. Najee Harris, they drafted Hampton with super high draft capital, and then Dowdle and Sanders. Like, this pretty dicey running back room. But again, we tried to make it up with volume. Hopefully each week we can get 2 or 3 guys out of here. And then in a vacuum, Love and Tua perfectly fine, as are Hawkinson and Kraft. Let's pull the board back up, see what we get here. I think I just queue up. I would just queue up Jackson Dart in this position. Of course, Aaron Rodgers. If I had a Pittsburgh, any kind of element of Pittsburgh, that might make more sense. Just guaranteeing. I say guaranteeing. Injuries can always play a role, but sort of locking in a perceived full season starter there would have made sense. All right, so Leo takes Aaron Rodgers. Tyler Show does go to Dirty P, so that made sense for him. We will just take Jackson Dart, and then I almost think we just end this team with another running back and go 3-7-6-2. I think that actually makes more sense. So let's find our favorite running backs here. Maybe it's Keaton Mitchell. Maybe we take Mitchell, and if something happens to Derrick Henry, then all of a sudden we might have the primary back there in Baltimore, and as of week 17, bring back to Jordan Love. So we'll take Keaton Mitchell. I don't do a lot of 3-7-6-2 teams. I got to be honest with you, but I think with this team, adding another running back made more sense than adding another receiver. So trying to be flexible. Again, don't build a ton like this. Not recommending it, but I think there was a time and a place. So this will end with a 3-7-6-2. Jordan Love, Tua Tagovailoa, and Jackson Dart at quarterback. Kyron Williams, DeAndre Swift, Cam Scatterbo, Najee Harris, Rico Dowdle, Miles Sanders, and Keaton Mitchell at running back room. So again, big volume strategy there. Wide receivers of Neighbors, London, Jameson Williams, Jalen Waddle, Juwan Jennings, and Romeo Dobbs. And tight ends of Hawkinson and Kraft. CLN 2013 says Min Cash is deliberately taking my guys. Let's see what he has done here. So let's see. I don't think you wanted Monty, Debo, Pittman. Let's see. Yeah, so he did do the Drake May thing. Let's see. I'm trying to see where your guys... Mason Taylor, okay, because you have Fields, right? You're the Fields guy. So we took Mason Taylor. I don't know if you were going after Taj Brooks there. Yeah, May and Taylor. Okay, those were the two that stuck out. So, you know what, CLN 2013, I do like the teams you assembled. So let's go over you guys' teams, and then we will get out of here. So CLN 2013 with a more traditional 3-5-7-2. He goes Field, Stroud, and Geno at quarterback, Saquon, Jacobs, Benson, Grendo, and Roshan. Again, draft like you're right with Saquon and Jacobs makes sense. T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, Jacoby Myers, Steph Diggs, Jaden Higgins, Christian Kirk, Darius Slayton at receiver, like all those guys. And then Kittle, Schultz, and Gray at tight end. Makes sense. Gray's not a guy I get a ton of, but I see the vision, and he randomly capable of falling in the end zone once or twice in a game. Makes sense there. Dirty Pete with 3-4-8-3. So we see what happened right away. The 4 immediate running backs. So he gets Caleb, Bryce Young, and Tyler Show. Running back room of CMC, JT, Breece Hall, James Cook. You're not going to find a much stronger running back room anywhere. But smart to just stop at 4. Go hyper fragile. Lean into what you did. So I like what you did here, Dirty P. Rome Odunze, Jordan Addison, Josh Downs, Emeka Egbuka, Rashid Shaheed, Cedric Tillman, Adam Thielen, and Torrey Horton. Here's a who. And then Colston Loveland, Juwan Jennings, and Elijah Arroyo. So, yeah, I like the team. I mean, I don't build a ton like that, but I do occasionally. And I think if you do, you got to stick to the plan, not get tempted by that 5th running back. You got to hope you were right with those first 4 picks, because you're guaranteeing one of your top 4 aren't hitting your lineup week 17. So, makes sense. Nice team, Chad Kendall. Someone has to take JT if you won't. Dirty P, I take a lot of JT. He's one of my highest exposures, and he's in round 2. So that says a lot. Dirty P wide receiver room might combine to score CMC level points. A little trash talk from CLN 2013 across the room, but hopefully 2 out of the 3 of us get there. Now, we know it is all from a good place, CLN. But guys, thank you so much for drafting with me. Thanks for hanging out. If you can, throw a like and a subscribe here. We're on the road to 200. Hopefully we can get past 210 today. We will see. Again, yes, if you haven't liked the video, please do so before we get out of here. And again, I will see you all likely on Monday. We'll see if I can do some kind of weekend thing. If I do, probably won't be at the early hour. We'll see. Might try to stream in the evening on the weekends, but I make no promises. It'll be kind of a game time decision, but otherwise I will see you all on Monday. Thank you again, and I'll see y'all soon. Take care, everyone.